Enough about Oregon. We're done with it. It's time for a new game. Ohio State, Nebraska, Saturday noon in the Horseshoe. It's one day away. That means today is a Freaky Friday. It also means it's time for bold predictions. And none of that serious stuff. We're back to having fun, baby. That's Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham, and I am Austin Ward. Let's get into it. It felt like, well, I know it was painful and long, and a ticked off group of Buckeyes spent the last 2 weeks wanting to play another game. Felt like a long 2 weeks for us too. We're ready to talk about another game, Bill.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to see how fast and loose we get with the predictions here too.
Well, kick it off. What do you got for us?
Okay. That's just not my style, so I don't know that I'm going to go too crazy. But I do. People love a good redemption story, right? Give me a Denzel Burke redemption game. Give me an interception for Denzel Burke and 3 pass breakups. He had a obviously like the toughest game one could possibly have against Oregon. They threw about him 8 times. They caught it all 8 times. It's just like it was about as bad as Denzel I think could have imagined. I don't think that's who he is as a player. I also think that maybe because of that, we could see guys rotate in at cornerback some. And I'm thinking maybe of like a Jermaine Matthews. And I'll just stop there. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. But I think even if that happens, we still see the return of the best of Denzel Burke, who is a guy who attacks the ball, I think, pretty ferociously. Remember that interception he had earlier in the year when he just basically ripped the ball out of the receiver's hands? I think we could see something like that. But give me an interception for Denzel to get back on the right foot, and 3 pass deflections as well, just like a really disruptive day for Denzel against Dylan Raiola. What
was that conversation? I couldn't quite figure out what Cody Simon or what he was being asked about for Denzel Burke, what the terminology was. Did you pick up on that, Bill? What Denzel apparently said before practice at some point? I don't know if that was yesterday or Wednesday or Tuesday. I don't know when it was.
Yeah, I don't know. The way I guess Trevion Henderson said something about it first, which I didn't hear at all. And then somebody asked Cody Simon about like Denzel Burke, I think like laying the brick after practice. And I know that's been a mantra for Ryan Day this year. Like they're building this thing brick by brick. They're building a foundation. So maybe there's something either before or after practice where they sort of do that symbolically. And Denzel Burke was the guy who did that, I believe, at Wednesday's practice. And like everyone said the right things about him too, that he's had a really good approach since that game. They're all believe in him. There's nobody questioning that. So I think he's a guy, and we saw him even leaving the Woody on Wednesday night. Like, he didn't say anything, but he also didn't look like a guy who was like living in his own head and terribly down on himself either. So I think he will have a nice performance here and remind people that he is not necessarily the player that we saw in Eugene.
Yeah, he had a look in his eye, I think.
A little pep in his step.
Yeah, I think you're dead on with that first bold P. Berm, what do you got?
Speaking of bricks, did you see the Ohio State men's basketball team in their first exhibition against Cincinnati? Eesh. I just wanted to start by saying that I like that it feels like we're talking to Bill in a correctional facility.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on I'm having a court hearing via Zoom.
Yeah, it's pretty nice actually. It's normally we're the ones that are in weird locations, or not normally, but we've been sort of relegated to that. And here you are in a strange hotel in Pittsburgh, and boy, it looks real strange. I love it. I'm here for it.
Real strange. Yeah, you like the white wall behind me? Yeah.
No, I mean it's.
What's that thermostat set to right behind that left shoulder?
It's really warm in here. It's currently says 79 because the AC is super loud, so I don't want to turn it on.
79
is Doug like a warm hotel guy? Because you know how Austin and I are. We're like 62 degrees in the hotel room. So
I actually don't know the answer to that. But if he is, he's going to learn, because this thing's going to be icebox once we're done here.
Speaking of icebox, he was
here comes another segue.
He was a linebacker on that one show, on that movie. She was a linebacker. In the Little Giants. And Nebraska likes to play aggressive with their linebackers and their defensive front. They average I think just under 7 tackles for loss a game, which is pretty good. And I think they're not going to have any this week against Ohio State, which is a testament to what we've seen out of the running game of Quinshawn Judkins and Trevion Henderson, just the violence that they're running with and the ability to fall forward. But I think it's going to be a big game in the development and the ability to trust Zen Michalski and Bennett Christian as the new 2 in the front, line of blocking for Ohio State. So 0 tackles for loss by the Cornhusker defense against the Ohio State offense. And again, I want to throw the asterisk that it only counts for the starters. Okay. Just like a couple weeks ago. So I really just think that Ohio State's going to come out and want to establish themselves up front. And I think we're going to see a big game out of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. And I could probably do a little drill down as far as what that means for those guys individually, but I'm not sure I'm ready to do that just yet. But I do think we will see them each with 100 yards for the first time this year in the game.
Okay. We were asked, maybe that feeds right into this, Berm. We were asked on subtext, and you can text us at 614-662-4509 and get in on all the fun. It was phrased, I believe, on level of concern, but I would rather change that to level of confidence between 0 and 10 and Zen Michalski. Berm, where would you fall on that scale?
6.35. I mean, I really, again, I did talk to some people inside of the program last week after the Oregon game, and I was told that if were it not for the one false start penalty in the fourth quarter, that he would have graded out just about 80%, which I think is pretty close to champion. At Ohio State. So they graded him a lot more favorably than the PFF folks did based on what they saw. And I think that you give this kid 2 extra weeks of confidence building and an ability to feel like, hey, he's the man. I'm not sure that this is the weekend we're going to find out one way or the other if he's like able to be that guy long term. But I do think that I don't go into this game having like giant red flags or anything like that.
6.35, he said, Bill.
6.34.
Oh, just slightly less.
Yeah, I think a 6 is fair. And part of it is what Berm just said, because Berm relayed that information to me a couple days ago as well. So I don't know if they're feeling good about it. Like I'm not going to feel great about it. I need to see it on the field, and I need to see Zen performing well for me to feel great about it. But I'll give some benefit of the doubt, I think, and I'll sit around a 6.
I'll say pi times 2. Then we'll just keep it all in that neighborhood. It's a math show now. Well. And then a whole bunch of numbers after that. And I don't know what they are. I believe Edric Houston is going to have a sack in this game for Ohio State. And I think it's going to come in the first half. I don't think that this is a garbage time prediction or projection from me. I think part of the search for answers for Ohio State is not just schematic. It is not just coaching, not just technique. I think there is also a look at personnel. And I think that includes Edric Houston, and I think it also includes Caden McDonald. And we'll see what that looks like. We're one day away. We spent 2 weeks talking about the defensive line and pressure and everything else that has to be done for that group up front, and Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson. I would be very surprised if this defensive staff spent 2 weeks and did not come up with something that is going to make life uncomfortable for Nebraska and Dylan Raiola. And I believe that Edric Houston will be part of that. We'll see, but I'm not going to go too far. But I think he's going to have a sack in this game.
I like it. I had Edric Houston on the big board. I think it's a good call. Do you guys agree that Ryan Day has maybe not even hinted at it, but maybe outright said that they're going to work in some different personnel moving forward? Not that I don't think anyone's like starting job is necessarily is up for grabs, but I think we will see some different guys play some bigger roles.
It feels like the most strongly that he could suggest it. To me.
Yeah, I think those wheels are in motion. Correct.
Okay. Nice. That's round 1. And round 2 begins.
I felt like that was a good first round. Nothing crazy by anybody. I do. So after the Oregon game, people were talking to me on social media and suggesting that perhaps part of the supreme and extreme reaction from the fan base when Ohio State doesn't live up to its expectations is because we're setting the expectations too high in the media. And I know Bill and Doug talked about this a little bit as well on the Sunday Sound Off show after the Oregon game. And like, do we have to dial it back, or is it irresponsible to suggest that, Ohio State's going to have 200-yard rushers and a 300-yard passer in this game? Is it irresponsible?
It's bold predictions.
The show is called Bold Predictions. It is not please go bet your life savings on the things that we say in this show.
Yeah,
I'm trying to mix in some analysis with the bold predictions so that it's not just us trying to one up the other with the most outlandish thing we can say.
Or outlandish.
Oh,
you like that, American? Heard that. Yeah, got him.
Hey, Bill. Did that one. Now you're moving your camera.
You moved your camera.
How'd I do that?
Hand gestures.
Hand motion.
Oh man.
I didn't mean
to. I didn't mean to do that.
Freaky Friday is in full effect. That is for sure.
I didn't mean to do that.
Round 2.
I need to learn those gestures, huh?
Apparently. Bill, let's get back on track if we can.
Sure. This will be another measured one. Give me I don't know. I don't even know if this qualifies as bold. I think it might be bold because I don't think we think of him much as a receiving threat. Give me a touchdown for Bennett Christian, and we'll layer 3 receptions on top of it, maybe to make it a little spicier. I think he's definitely the guy that will be the beneficiary of an extended look now that Will Kasmeric, who we saw with a sling and maybe even a cast on his left arm walking off the practice field on Wednesday night, being out for a while. So I think Bennett plays a lot, and his biggest impact on this offense will obviously be with his blocking prowess. But I could see him getting some opportunities in the red zone. I could even see Chip Kelly and Ryan Day wanting to get him a touch or two, so the teams might have to respect it, not just view him as an extra offensive lineman out there. So I think we'll have 3 catches, and I think when they are down in the red zone, they'll toss him a target and they'll get a touchdown against Nebraska.
Oh my gosh! I just was channeling my inner Spencer Holbrook, and I'm going to feel crazy when I say this, but I actually think that there's an opportunity for a Bennett Christian rushing touchdown.
No, not this again.
Out of the T formation.
Yeah,
that's Patrick Gird's role, though. Why don't you?
Why? I mean, I'm just saying. I think you got to give, if you're going to put Bennett Christian in this game and you're going to now begin to lean on him as that blocker, that extra blocker, and a guy that you trust, then you got to reward him a little bit, with a little bit of the ball in the air in his general direction.
Yeah. The other thing we saw on Wednesday night, leaving the Woody, was about 30 extra minutes of work for Jelani Thurman, just off on the side, catching some balls, getting some extra drills in. Berm, you've made this point. This is the turning point. It's a key opportunity for him. I don't know if you had Jelani Thurman on your card, but if we're mentioning what we saw from the tight ends leaving the practice field, I'd be remiss if we didn't say Jelani was getting that extra work in.
I didn't have him on my list, but I do think that it's not just the leaves that are burning, outside. It's a fire being lit under someone's butt, perhaps, if you know what I mean. Because Bennett Christian is taking your reps. I don't know. See, I'm a little annoyed at the Edric Houston prediction that you made earlier, because as we talked about earlier this season, when Ohio State has a key recruiting visit happening, I think that there is a tendency to try and goose it a little bit. And I think that with Jakeem Stewart, the number 1 ranked defensive lineman in the country now in the class of 2025, who reclassified from 2026, visiting this weekend for an unofficial visit, I do think that there's going to be a desire by Larry Johnson and the Buckeyes to get the young guys in the mix and do some things, whether it's the Edric Houston or Kenyatta Jackson, or just guys who are a little bit maybe closer to Jakeem Stewart's body type and his playing style, as opposed to what Jack and JT do, which is obviously a little bit more contain oriented and run stopping, as opposed to being like a game wrecker or defensive end. And so I'm going to take your BP of Edric Houston and I'm going to extrapolate it. I'm going to smack it, flip it up, rub it down. And I'm going to add not just 1 sack for Edric Houston, but a total of 4 sacks between Edric Houston, Kenyatta Jackson, and Mitchell Melton.
Holy moly.
And now Nebraska doesn't give up a ton of sacks. I think Dylan Raiola has only been sacked 14 times this season. He gets rid of the ball very quickly. But I think we're going to see some different things from the Ohio State defense, because if we don't, people are going to lose their freaking mind. I'm counting on something looking different, and I think that it's going to be more pressure from the edge from Ohio State. And because of that, I think that combination, that body type, that guy that you can point to and say, hey, Jakeem, you see how we're using these guys? This is what we could do with you, is going to be prevalent this weekend.
Some offensive line issues for Nebraska too, injury-wise.
I like the sound of that, Bill. Tell me more. Wow. Oh, sorry. Your call just ran out. We need to insert another quarter.
Let's send him a couple ramen packets so that he can trade for more time on the phone.
New commissary. Yeah.
I thought at the start of the week that the solution for a possible absence of Lathan Ransom on Saturday would be moving Jordan Hancock. And the longer this week has gone on and the more conversation there's been, it sure seems to me like it's actually going to be Lorenzo Styles playing a lot more and potentially at safety. And so I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to make a bold prediction that Lathan Ransom is not going to play against Nebraska. And secondly, I'm going to boldly predict that Lorenzo Styles is going to have an interception in this game. I like Bill's initial BP about Denzel Burke and a bounce back and the opportunity to be in coverage at corner. I think Dylan Raiola is prone to mistakes, and that's not surprising for a true freshman. I think he's been probably better for Nebraska to this point in the season than I expected that he would be, whatever went down with the Indiana blowout notwithstanding, and maybe even the end of the Illinois game. But he's not supposed to be perfect as a true freshman. He won't be. And if Ohio State's getting pressure, I think he's going to put the ball in harm's way. Ohio State not only needs to get some sacks and tackles for loss in this game, but the other thing that has been emphasized dating back to the start of spring practice throughout training camp from Ryan Day again on Tuesday is winning the turnover battle. And so the Buckeyes need takeaways. And I think Lorenzo is going to get involved in that with a key interception for the Buckeyes. And it's going to come in the second quarter to drill down.
Yeah. The last 3 weeks, Dylan Raiola has thrown 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions against Purdue, Rutgers, and Indiana. So I think, he obviously had a pretty good start to the year, but he's certainly taken a step back once Big Ten play started. And again, if the Buckeyes just apply some pressure, I think that they can do a lot of damage to Dylan Raiola early in this game on Saturday. So I think Lorenzo Styles is in a prime position to take advantage of it. Oh, I almost threw out another BP. Just a rando BP. How about this?
Well, okay.
Both Styles boys have an interception on Saturday.
Oh boy. Now you're pushing the envelope, but we're going to come back and get to the third bold predictions right after this. All right, a couple of picks in. You know that it would normally be time for our guest picker, brought to you by Future Fan Sports, to pop in here. Liberty's getting a little bit of a break this week, although I can tell you that she is expecting a bounce back outing from Quinshon Judkins and a couple touchdowns on Saturday against Nebraska. She'll be watching with her mother, making more of those memories, watching Ohio State games this season as she has fully embraced the learning opportunities and then the rewards of watching the game on Saturday. But there is a chance for you and your child to make some memories together in the Horseshoe later this year. Ohio State, Indiana, suddenly becoming one of the biggest games of the season. And futurefans.com/OSU is a site where you can get 2 tickets to go win. 2 tickets on the 40-yard line, an on-field experience joining Brutus and the cheerleaders for the national anthem. Here's all you have to do to enter. One or all of these things. Buy a Future Fans box, which is a good idea. Liberty and I have been using that interactive experience for months. She's loving it. Join the fan club or post on social media and tag Future Fans. It's as easy as that. You can also go buy this for $49.99 at the Learning Express toy stores in UA, Worthington, and New Albany. This is a Columbus-based business. They're awesome. We've had a fantastic time. Again, that's futurefans.com/OSU. I promise you won't regret it. And especially if you win, it'll be even better. But you don't need to win to make the most out of this and make some memories watching Ohio State football games with your kid this year. Again, that's futurefans.com/OSU. Time for prediction number 3.
Will Howard last week had second most passing yards he's had in his career, I believe. It was, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, last game. 326 against Oregon, narrowly missing out on a new career high. His career high is still 327 in that Texas game that we referenced a couple times. I think he sets a new career high in this game. I think he's pushing 400 passing yards in this game.
Ooh, really?
I watched Curtis Rourke and Indiana's receivers like back shoulder Nebraska to death last week. Just really throw it all over them. And I actually think Nebraska has a pretty good secondary. It didn't play well. Had some guys coming off of injury. But if I see Indiana do that, then I got to believe that Ohio State can do it because Ohio State has Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka and Carnell Tate. So, and I've also been like pretty heavy with run game predictions, I think, this year, and maybe not so much with the passing game predictions. So I'm trying to get myself some better vibes here by maybe going the direction I should go with this offense. So give me Will Howard, new career high, 393 passing yards against Nebraska.
393.
Phil, do you feel bad? Like you spent so many months talking about 3,000 rushing yards and leading the country in rushing, and here you are heading into game 7, being like, screw the run game, light it up, Will.
Yeah, listen, it's not my fault that I got. It's my fault. I'm pivoting. Ohio State is currently 45th in the country in total rushing yards, and I thought it'd be better than that. I don't think the rushing attack has been bad. It wasn't good against Oregon, but for the season, it's been good, and I think it will continue to be good. But maybe I underestimated Jeremiah Smith and just how good Emeka Egbuka is when he's healthy.
I think that you're not the only one, though. I think the Ohio State offense probably expected to be more run heavy, and then Will the Thrill Howard has been like really, really good. And once you start to have that confidence in your quarterback, and you already have these receivers, I think you just regress to the mean, and the Ryan Day offense, even though Chip Kelly's another one running it, is still just exploit people on the edges because you have much better players than they do. Do you know?
I do know.
That's a
fact. I do feel. Are you worried that you already threw out your third bold prediction and now you're trying to grasp for one?
Yeah. No, that wasn't my third.
On your third one, by the way, walking off the practice field on Wednesday night, Cody Simon was giving Sonny Styles crap for dropping an interception. So
nice.
Maybe he's due.
When was the last time you guys watched 21 Jump Street?
The original or
the first one with Jonah Hill and
probably like
Channing Tatum, whatever his name is.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Probably 6 months ago.
It's so funny. I watched it on Wednesday night, and I'm like, I couldn't believe how funny it still is to me. Like, it's just such a classic movie. So now I'm filibustering.
This filibuster is going in ways that we were not anticipating.
Well, what happens? How are you guys? You guys good?
Good. Do you want me to make my third prediction? Or
no, I have one. It's going to be a 4-touchdown game for Jeremiah Smith.
4 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Okay. A quadruple ding dong?
Yeah.
It's never been done before.
I think that this is the week, despite
the full Noah Brown.
I know it's Nebraska. I know people nationally are going to be like, "Oh, it's Nebraska. What did you do against Oregon, where you had 100 yards and a touchdown and all that?" But I think this is the weekend when the Jeremiah Smith Heisman campaign begins, and I think it starts because you can get him the ball now in different ways. You've seen it in the end arounds and the jet sweep game, and I think they're feeling more comfortable that way. I do believe Ryan Day, despite the fact that I think he was kind of joking it about chucking balls on practice on Tuesday. I do think launching balls, not chucking balls.
Launching balls.
I believe in my heart that there is going to be a commitment to launching some balls on Saturday, and I think you're going to see Jeremiah Smith. I think he's probably going to end up in the 150-yard range in receiving. But I think he's going to score 4 touchdowns against Nebraska. And yes, the campaign for Heisman begins.
Well, I was only going to go with a double ding dong for Jeremiah Smith, so I guess that bold prediction is out the window.
It's weird. Someone I know just went with a double ding dong.
Yeah, so forget about that. Now we're going to have to pivot again. And bold prediction number 3 will be a touchdown for Brandon Ennis. As a rushing threat. It will not come in the return game. It will not be as receiver. It is a Brandon Ennis rushing touchdown. Sounds crazy, right? He's not been involved in that. That's more Emeka's role. And I keep begging for more of the Emeka Egbuka rushing package and the pop pass and the end arounds, and it looked good. And in fact, out of everything that I thought Ohio State, like there was this conversation about the second half and whether Ohio State needed to stick with the run more. The only thing that they could have done more offensively, in my opinion, coming out of that game was get one more second and keep using the Emeka Egbuka package, which we only saw them go to it twice, 3 times at most. I thought it was effective, and I thought I would like to have seen it a lot more. So why am I saying Brandon Ennis is going to do that? Because Emeka Egbuka is not going to need to play every snap in this game, in my opinion. And there's another weapon that they're still waiting to deploy, which is Brandon Ennis. I think he was involved late. Like they were trying to get him the ball on that final drive. I think they're ready to get him activated in this game, and that's only to the benefit of the offense as a whole.
Cool. I like it. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen him run the ball more to this point. So I think you're on to something.
Yeah, I have not given a score prediction yet this week. I will do that now. I believe Ohio State is going to win this game 48-13.
48-13. Bill, I did not watch your Wednesday show where you broke down every game in the North. What was your score prediction for Ohio State, Nebraska?
49-7.
49-7. And I had 41-7 as my score at Roosters on Monday. I'm going to stick with it. 4 of those touchdowns by Jeremiah Smith.
Okay. Well, we'll see if Berm's score prediction remains the same on weekend kickoff, or if he wants to amend it yet again on the pregame keys on Saturday. Guess who's gonna be there?
We will.
Bill Landis in the Horseshoe, all triple barrel coverage. We're gonna get him on the pregame keys and some.
I'm glad you didn't say triple ding dong coverage.
Oh, what?
I thought he was going to.
I'm glad I didn't either.
I thought you were
worried. I'm worried
convinced you were.
I'm worried that you thought I was going to say that.
Bill thought that as well, but he's also incarcerated at the moment. So,
Bill, are you excited to get back into the press box?
I am. Yeah,
into normal society. Bill, are you?
I am. I'm excited to rejoin the population as a rehabilitated man. Yeah.
Well, it's been lonely. I'm excited to have you back up there. Excited to talk about a new game that is not Ohio State and Oregon. Instead, it's Nebraska. It is homecoming. It's Saturday. It's noon. It's a big noon kickoff for the Buckeyes. Looking forward to full coverage as always on the podcast. Thanks for joining us for the Freaky Friday Bold Prediction Show. He's Bill Landis. That's Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. Have a great weekend.